Hello, online folks. Just to give you a quick update, we are waiting for quorum. We believe we just need one additional physical in-person person here. So that is why we're silent, and we'll be silent for a little while longer until we can establish an in-person in-room quorum. Thank you, everyone.
And Technology Commission. This is Judith Rocca, Chair, speaking. We're called to order at 4:12. We do not yet have a quorum. We are waiting for one member who is in transit. However, we are going to proceed out of order on the agenda with informational aspects and updates, saving the matters requiring budgetary approval on a path. And so since we're not voting on anything right now, I am going to indicate for the record that we do have some members who are attending online. And I'm going to ask if you would please identify by voice. And we'll start with Madam State's Attorney, Ms. Mather.
I'm present.
We do have member Peter Wallers. Mr. Wallers, are you present?
Ms. Mauser indicated she's having a hard time hearing on the audio. I don't know if that's her side or yours.
Okay. All right. Mr. Wallers, are you present? Okay, maybe he's a pass right now. Mr. Felton, are you present?
Present.
Thank you, sir. And Commissioner Molina, are you present? Okay, both Mr. Wallers and Commissioner Molina have not answered yet in the affirmative, but since we're not on a voting issue, we can make our record later when we actually have a quorum. I'm going to ask the Madam Secretary who is present to please call the roll so we can establish who is present at the current time.
Oh, sorry. Barrero.
Here.
You. Conant. Cruz.
Cruz is resigned.
Yep.
Judge Rene Cruz issued his resignation before today's meeting to Chief Judge Villa.
David is not here. Hain is not here. Pirag.
Present.
Braca.
Present, and Mr. Keel is present.
Keel. Thank you very much.
We'll defer approval of the minutes until we have a quorum. We will defer remote attendance requests until we have the in-person quorum. We'll defer the budget report because that will require a vote until we have the quorum present. Can we please go to the staff report on Odyssey CMS Axon report?
Sure, I can take that. This is Bob Enright. The Odyssey has been live since 2015, as many of you know, and it is working as expected. And we continue, particularly the circuit clerk, state's attorney, public defender, to do add-ons and additional projects. One of the things we got going on right now is ODR, which is online dispute resolution, which allows people to hopefully resolve their disputes without coming to court. So that's one of the items we got in progress. Another one is called Process Builder, which is kind of like a workflow engine that allows processes to go from point A to point B to point C. We've implemented Justice Enterprise, which is a big project to 2023. What we do is you have a test environment, a stage environment, and a production environment. And as we go through, I mean, there's a lot of testing and configuration and testing and configuration. And so we spent quite a bit of time working on that the past couple of months.
Do
go
we
ahead.
have slides that that go along with this?
Oh, it is right up there.
Okay,
He just hasn't moved it.
I don't
Okay,
have the
okay.
clicker.
All right.
Next
Oh.
slide and you can
okay.
follow
Next,
along. Yeah.
okay. Okay, also the circuit clerk, excuse me, is working with us to implement state reporting requirements, which, you know, it's like it's hitting a moving target. It changes all the time. And so Monica and her team are working on that. And the other big project that we have coming up will be the court exchanges with the supervision with court oh, next slide. Sorry about that. So these are some of the events that we'll be sharing with the circuit clerks will be sharing with court services. So when you know, a hearing takes place for somebody who's gets sentenced to, say, probation or supervision, that information will come over to court services automatically. So that won't be live until the second quarter of 2025. So we haven't even started testing that yet. The other system that comes out of this budget is Axon, which is a state's attorney, law enforcement, public defender system where evidence and discovery items get shared through a portal, for lack of a better term, between the different agencies, the state's attorney and defense attorneys. And so that's been up and it's been running, and it's, they keep adding new agencies and new users, and discovery and evidence keep getting added to that. And that's really that's about it.
Are there any questions of Mr. Enright? Is there anything that the clerk would like to add about anything that is ongoing with any of this work that has been moving forward?
The only thing is the 2025 kind of freaked me out a little bit. I mean, but it's right around the corner, so I guess it's not that bad. Yeah, 3 months. So that I was ready to explode, and then I remembered this is October. So it's okay. I don't have anything else. I do have something that I'd like to talk about, but later on for projection down the road.
Okay. Anything from the public defender concerning the discovery or any of the aspects of the CMS from their point of view?
So we have been using Axon. It is, it is, was a little bit to get used to, but we are using it. It is a quicker way to get our discovery. It all comes electronically. By about this point, if we are getting paper discovery, it is very, very minimal. So almost everything is coming through Axon. That includes paper police reports, as well as videos, squad videos, pictures, any sort of electronic discovery that we are receiving.
Madam State's Attorney, are you on yet?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you now.
Yes.
Anything from the state's attorney's aspect on anything from the CMS and the current plans or what has been brought online?
So we've had a lot of success with Axon, and I would echo the words of our public defender. We are getting discovery quicker, and we are able to get discovery out quicker. We used to have very long download times when we were trying to get it from different agencies and then trying to send it out. So this has dramatically assisted us in terms of getting information out. We do continue to work with our departments because we feel that the majority of the departments have gone towards using Axon. I believe the sheriff's office may be looking towards changing that as well, but our bigger departments like Aurora and Elgin both use that. I'm excited to say that Axon is even developing some AI software for police departments that would write police reports for police officers based off of the body cam. That's all in a training program right now that they're looking to see how successful it is. In regards to our CMS program, I believe that we continue to see a lot of issues with Tyler Odyssey. There's a lot of things that we still need to do, especially when we're trying to keep statistics of what we're doing. We're still very much reliant on the circuit clerk's office to be able to get statistics that are generated through the court system. And it would seem that those statistics should be readily available to all of our judicial partners. The clerk's office has obviously been really great at providing us statistics whenever we need them, but it's really difficult to have to go through another department to be able to do that. We've been working with Bob a lot in regards to a lot of these issues. I think that there needs to be some significant improvements with what we have right now. But that would be my report.
Is there anything from the private bar, Mr. Keel, on behalf of the Bar Association? And I should say welcome, Mr. Keel last attended as a representative for Mr. Fegans. And Mr. Keel has now been appointed jointly by Madam Chair and the Chief Judge as a member to the commission. Is there anything from the perspective of the private bar?
I was just curious, how do the private attorneys get signed up for the system.
Okay. The question is, how do the private attorneys get signed up for the Axon system? Who would be the best person to answer that that's here?
I can do that, Judge.
And is there a push to increase that number?
Okay. Good questions both ways.
Ms. Mosser indicated she could answer your question.
Okay, go ahead.
So we have the director of my operations, who is Anthony Ortiz, who actually put out an email through the King County Bar Association. Right now, we've limited it obviously to anybody who is a criminal defense attorney, because those are the individuals who use or who we would send evidence to. He has provided training to the defense bar as well as to the public defenders, the private defense bar and the public defenders, on how to use that and how to sign up for it so that it's very easy access to go back and forth. And we've been doing a huge push to get people on the system because it makes everything so much easier.
Now, I've seen in blasts from the Bar Association, comments or an invitation to sign up for Axon. Is that what you're talking about, Ms. Mosser, when you're saying a push to do it?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Certainly, if the Bar Association, on behalf of the bar, if you can think of a better way or some way that we can assist on this, obviously, it's beneficial to the system because it expedites the exchange of discovery, which benefits moving a case through the system and benefits defendants, prosecution, and the public. So any suggestions from the private bar through the Bar Association as to how we can encourage attorneys, even before they get the criminal case, to go on Axon, or to maybe, I don't know if it's been expanded, and requests have been made to the bar associations locally, like DuPage or DeKalb or Kendall, surrounding areas, because we do have attorneys that cross over county lines to sign up as well. Maybe if that has not yet been done, that invitation can be extended through their bar associations also. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Just a question. The limitation, how expandable is this program? How many people can sign up for it? Is there a limitation to it? And is an additional cost that we have to reflect upon for the additional members sign up?
So when the private bar signs up or the public defenders, it doesn't create anything additional. It's just signing them up for ease of access that goes over there. So we are charged as in the public defender's office and the state's attorney's office per person, and Bob Enright will probably answer this a lot better than I would. But when the private bar signs up, that's not an additional cost. It's just that access portion of it.
Mr. Enright.
Yeah, there isn't an additional cost for an individual user. It does reflect in the, perhaps the overall license that comes out of this budget here. You know, there might be a, you know, for 100 users or 150 users. I'm not sure how those increments go, but it comes out of this budget, but it's not significant.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Keel?
No, thank you.
Chief Judge Villa, anything on behalf of the judiciary on what has been discussed so far?
No, I will be attending the Long Range Planning Commission meeting for the Bar Association next Wednesday. Ms. Mosser, you may be there as well. I don't know, Ms. Cohn, if you're coming. And then we'll make a pitch for this and try to present this to the Bar Association then, so they can maybe have maybe a training session with it through the criminal bar, or anybody else who wants to do it. We can make that available, or that recommendation, I should say.
Thank you. That then concludes the report. Mr. Enright, that's concluded?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to request Mr. Enright, if you would be so kind as to just put a packet together for Commissioner Berman, who has arrived, so we can reflect that
Okay.
Commissioner Berman is present. And by my count, that brings us to a quorum. The first order of business then on this quorum is remote attendance requests, because we do have indicated as 3 members that we're going to be attending remotely. And I'd like to hear if there is any objection from the members who are present constituting the quorum to the attendance remotely by Ms. Masser, Mr. Felton, and I'll inquire again, Ms. Molina, are you online? I did not hear Ms. Molina check in, so we're going to Ms. Masser and Mr. Felton. Any objection? None having been raised, Ms. Masser and Mr. Felton are present for purposes of voting and all other proceedings this afternoon. Going back up, since we are still on a bit of a time crunch for some of our members, I would like to go out of order again on the agenda to go to the budget report, which is one of the most significant duties of budget recommendations to the county board that this commission undertakes during the year. And for that, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Fonstock.
Okay. Good afternoon. This is Roger Fonstock from IT and Building Management. Blair, if you could pull up the, not that one. I want to go to the ones that I provided, the budget summary. Yeah, you see it up there? Yeah. So we handed out a sheet that at the top says FY 2025 Budget Report 1. And what you'll see is the top portion is revenue. There's 3 lines of revenue. There's the RTA sales tax for judiciary. And this is 6% of the, I believe it's 6% of the actual RTA sales tax goes into this fund. It's 1.6 million. And then there's investment income. And this was something, Judge, that you were asking about investment income. This actually has the $45,000 in investment income. And then fund balance utilization, which is basically the fund balance for the sales tax of $214,000. That's the revenue that comes into the fund to pay for the expenses to balance the account. And there was a question about fund balance utilization. And in the packet, there was a balance sheet. And the fund balance, unreserved fund balance for Fund 127 as of 9/26 was 1.8 million. So that's what's in the fund balance. And I would tell you that based on revenue of 1.6 million over 12 months, you get a little over $100,000 a month in revenue. So next year we're projecting 1.6 million in revenue, and you have a fund balance of 1.8 million right now. And we're going to finish the year. We have one more quarterly payment for Tyler and a few other expenses that are going to go out, but the fund balance will be, we're going to bring in 2 months of revenue. And we're going to spend probably 2 months of revenue. So we're probably not going to be too much different than the 1.8 million at the end of the year. I will tell you that this is through the hard work of a lot of people. We have redone the payment process with Tyler. We've been very diligent about getting onto a quarterly payment and managing the contract. I think that's a big part from the circuit clerk's office and their team, and Charles Lasky and his team, and also, working with Tyler and the other offices. But it managed to allow us to, over the last few years, to build up a fund balance. So the good news, that's the good news. The other part is that we're going to use some of that to balance our expenses this year. So while, we're 1.6 million in revenue from sales tax, $45,000 in revenue from the interest earned on our 1.8 million, we're going to add $214,000 from that fund balance to balance our expenses. So I'm telling you that the expenses are more than the revenue we're bringing in this year, but you have a healthy fund balance to pay that. We do have some corrective things that we're working on to try to get us to where revenue and expenses are matching. We also see revenue growth over the last 2 years in sales tax. So that's been helpful as well. So the 1.8 million is revenue. And then the next section is expenses. And you will see that there are $321,000 in salaries and wages. And that is up a little bit from the 2024 amended budget. And some of that is related to salary increase projections. And then also we had the equity study that was done where they added some compensation for equity. That's probably a significant change of 8.4%. And then there's some other health contributions and other things for those personnel. The big line item in this is the contractual consulting services and the software licensing costs. And what you'll see in there are the services that we use to work on integrations, project management, support of the product, and integration with other services. That's the $260,000 that we're looking at. And then the 1.1 million, that is covering all software licensing for all of the court partners that are using Tyler products. It also is inclusive for State's Attorney Mosser and everybody else that uses Axon. They had brought that on. That is included in this 1.1 million is the Axon licensing. And then we also have some things that are bought through the software licensing for success management manager. And we have some consulting services that we're adding for the circuit clerk and the judiciary for them to get more help and support from Tyler for their products. So most of the money is in that personnel to support the courts, which is mostly application and database folks that we have working with the circuit clerk staff and the courts in general. And then you have the consulting and software licensing. The rest of the line items, relatively minimal. Training, we do still have conference and meetings in there. That is to send a person from each of the respective offices and departments to the Tyler conference. This last year, I think, was in Indianapolis. It wasn't a real expensive conference, but I'm not sure where do you know where they're doing it next year, Monica? Anyway, it's really good for us to get people out to that because we see what products Tyler is producing and how they're being used and meeting with other people that are using them. But we do try to spread that to where everybody gets at least the opportunity to send one person. If we have money available, we try to do even more if it's local. I think last year we maybe had extra people go because it was in Indianapolis. So if you look towards the bottom, you're going to see 1,872,481 in revenue and 1,872,481 in expenses. It is balanced. We're recommending that this body recommend this budget to the county board for approval. I believe you need to have either a consensus vote or a motion second and a roll call vote to approve of that budget to be forwarded to the county board for approval. The county board has this exact budget on agenda for approval. It's been submitted since probably May, and it's been fine-tuned a couple times. Blair, if you could switch to the other detail transactions. If you have questions about the summary, that's fine, but this is the detail transactions of the budget. So you'll see the revenue side of it. And then Blair, if you flip one more slide down, it's not a real long report, but these are the types of things that are purchased in the software licensing costs. So you'll see Axon is in there. It's 218,000. We have some Chromebook management, DocuSign for electronic signatures. We do a compliance storage system for managing the write once, read many kind of content where we can't have anything overwritten. And you'll see a couple of other things that are related to load balancers. And so this is all the software that goes into it. And then you'll see the big one, which is the Tyler maintenance contract. It is important to understand the Tyler maintenance contract is the maintenance contract on the roughly $12 million 5-year investment that the county made in that product back in 2000 and was it 14 around 2012. So it's 10 years ago. I'm going to tell you that that money has maintained and updated the system in the courts. I think we're 3 times. We've done it 3. Yes. Are we on 4? We're working on number 4. We did the 1 to implement and 2 upgrades. So we're going to go to our 4th upgrade next. But I wanted to let everyone know that, that is what has made it possible for us to maintain the investment and to keep it updated and upgraded. That is where that money comes from. So.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
My only question is that the submitted budget for the amount of sales tax income is actually an estimate,
Yes.
Oh,
correct?
yes. Yeah, it's based on numbers from finance, and they're using some forecasting for that based on sales tax. And that comes from the finance officer, Kathy Hopkinson.
So it can obviously go up or down.
Yes.
And in prior years, it was, at least even in 2024,
So,
it was lower, but then
Yeah.
actually turned out to be about $400,000
Yeah.
higher.
and so in speaking with Ms. Hopkinson, for this fund, because it's monthly sales tax revenue, we need to have 90 days in the fund. So 1/4 of the 1 point, let's say it's 1/4 of 2 million, just to be rounded off. So a little under $500,000 needs to be in that fund for the 90-day financial policy.
Okay.
That's just to be safe with our money, to know that we have money to cover expenses. Like I was speaking about the fund balance, when we first started this, we were doing a lot of the payments, basically at the start of the year before you collect your 100,000, 120,000 a month. And what was happening was we were spending money early in the year and then collecting it later. And at one point in time, I think it was maybe 6 or 8 years ago, we would borrow from the general fund and then pay it back. So we have flipped that table in the last 6 years, and you have a fund balance. I think at one time that was asked whether or not, there was money in that fund to do other projects. I would say outside of that $500,000, when we get to the end of the year, you could, make some decisions about how much fund balance is available to do any one-time projects. But I don't know that I'd add any recurring expenses, because we're trying to figure out how to curtail the recurring.
Mr. Keel, did you have a question?
I did.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Fonsa? Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Judge. I've talked about this a lot with Roger, and we really needed to make sure that we don't expand this any further, because I'm sure, I was just at a conference the last 3 days.
Yeah.
And we were told that Tyler will eventually go to SaaS, which is the cloud.
Yep.
And I think in 2029.
Yes.
And this is something we have to prepare for. And I know that Roger's people have done phenomenal, along with my IT people. They've worked phenomenal. And there's a lot of hoops that we have to jump through to make sure that we get everything in line before we actually have to go to the cloud product. But that's my fear when we put more employees in this,
Mhm.
right? Then it drains it further. Or more software in this, then it drains it further, because that's something we will not have a choice in. And they told us that that's the way it's going to be. So
Yeah.
we need to prepare for it.
Do we know how much that's going to increase expenses?
I don't believe we have any proposals for that, because it's still kind of in the distant future. But the one thing that we were sold, and as a part of our contract, we're promised, this is described as an evergreen product, which we're entitled to, and they are contractually obligated to upgrade for us. And so we have a recurring license and maintenance fee. And then we also have a capital investment in this product. So there's a lot of legal discussion that needs to happen before we would agree or
And millions of dollars.
yes,
know?
so there, I know they want to move in that direction, and it's probably a message that they're getting out early. I don't know that they have a transition plan for their 3,000 some customers yet.
Okay.
It is, so it's a trade-off. when you do less work, maybe here, hopefully they do more work there. And you're right, so hopefully we can transition at the right time to have, maybe lower costs on our end for certain things, but higher costs to support the software in their environment. That'll be something we'll have to work through. It might be a few transition years where we have to start gearing back, and through attrition or other things, we start just pulling back. So we have to pay the kind of the utility bill to the software provider as opposed to owning all the staff to maintain as much. And the other part is whether or not we have to do all of the heavy lifting to do the upgrades and testing.
Mhm.
That's actually where all the work is. Because of the complexity of the upgrades, they're actually working on those with us anyway. So the heavy lifting is testing and validating and
Right.
checking. And so it'll be interesting to see what their plan is. I'm going to tell you, they had a similar plan for financial management, and that was probably 7, 8 years ago.
And
And
they,
we're
yeah.
still using it. Yeah. So
Well, they did give us a 2025 date.
yeah.
That's the last upgrade they're gonna push out.
Okay.
And then after that, they said 4 years, they'll be working on.
Getting everybody off.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions of Mr. Fonstra?
Yeah.
Okay, is there oh, I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
Just for clarity for Mr. Fonstock, it says fund balance utilization to make the budget whole, 214,000.
Yes.
Is that coming from the reserve funds?
No, that's coming from the fund itself. So the 127 fund is set up separate from the general fund entirely. It's coming from RTA sales tax. And every year we bring in 1.6 million. Over the last 6 years, we've managed to accumulate a fund balance in 127. The fund balance is unreserved right now is about 1.8 million. And we're 2 months away from the end of the year. We'll actually collect another $240,000 before the end of the year, and we'll probably spend 240,000. So we'll probably still have a $1.8 million fund balance while we're still bringing in 120,000 a month. So we have sufficient money to cover our first half year expenses, quarter of a year expenses. That's our 90-day, with a kind of hold back or amount of financial policy we need to hold. So I think we're in good shape. And I think that the only question we really had was, if you want to do other projects with the fund balance, I think we need to look at some cash flow and forecasting with Ms. Hopkinson, make sure that we're good. And then Kathy from finance has been working with me on multiple year forecasts to try to see where will the fund balance be at the end of 2025, at the end of 2026, where are we at in the future? And those have been really good exercises because we've already corrected a few where the forecast didn't look like it could support certain things. So we pulled back and realigned the expenses. But right now, I think the utilization of the fund balance is good. We're moving a lot of good things, and I think we're going to do another upgrade probably in the next 2 years. I don't know, next year, tomorrow. All right, we just got done doing one, so yeah, it's about time to start again. But yeah, so as we move through those, it's costly adventure to upgrade.
Okay,
Just
thank
so you know, for all of the millions of dollars of the RTA sales tax that comes into the county coffers, unless it's been amended since I last looked it up, it's divided as follows. 82% goes into road products, 15% goes into public safety, which is divided 6% to this judicial technology sales tax fund, and then the other into the public safety sales tax fund, which is, that's 9%. It goes
Yes.
basically for the sheriff, and the sheriff has been making different capital expenditures out of that, cars, things like that. And then 3% overall goes into a contingency fund, okay? And that contingency fund is the county's contingency fund. So that accounts for the 100% of how the RTA sales tax right now is divided up by the county and their budgetary. So I don't think they've changed that.
No, and I was just going to say, I think the gross revenue is about 21 million.
Okay.
So our 6% for this fund is roughly 1.6.
And 3% goes to KDOT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, with no other questions being, any questions from anyone else? Okay, with no other questions having been submitted, is there a motion to approve? And so just so we're clear, this is a motion to approve the one-page fiscal year 2025 budget report 1. That's what's up for a motion, correct, Mr. Feinstock?
Yes, the
That
recommendation,
one-page document
Yes.
is what's up for a motion. Is there a motion to approve that budget?
Yes. Berman would propose that we approve the budget as presented on one page and make that available to the county board.
Okay. All right.
Second.
All right, so moved by Berman, second by Villa. Are there any other comments or discussion about that, other than the questions that were asked by Mr. Feinstock? Any other concerns, comments, or any other discussions on the motion? Hearing none, I'm going to ask the clerk to call the roll because we do have people online and in person. Or I should say, Madam Secretary. Madam Secretary, could you call the roll?
Ferrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
and
Yes.
what do we have? Felton,
Yes.
Mosser,
Yes.
thank you. Pirog,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Braca.
Yes.
Get everybody.
The motion having been made carries unanimously from those present in person and online. I understand that we may be losing a member or two because of time constraints, but having established a quorum and having established the quorum with the online presence, by my read of the statute, I believe we still can vote. But I would leave that up to Ms. Masser to indicate whether that is an erroneous interpretation of the Open Meetings Act. I think that once we establish the quorum in person and in-person approves online, that even if an in-person leaves, we still have a quorum. Is that correct, Ms. Masser?
No, Judge, unfortunately, it is not. We have to maintain an in-person quorum for
All
this
voting?
to go. Oh, yes.
Okay. All right.
Well, this was the most important thing.
Well, right, this was the major thing.
I will stay for another 10 minutes if
Okay.
that would be convenient.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. We appreciate that. Then, I suppose we need to really do the minutes then. Because I don't think that there's anything else that we have to vote on besides that. Did everyone get a copy of the minutes online or in person or both for review? Okay. Taking first the minutes from October 19th of 2023. Are there any offers of corrections or amendments on those? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the October 19th, 2023 minutes?
Berman moves for approval.
Is there a second? Okay. We'll call for the vote. Madam Secretary, if you'd call the roll.
Ferrero, Berman,
Berman, yes.
Conant,
Yes.
Felton,
Yes.
Mosser,
Yes.
Pirog,
Aye.
Keel,
Yes.
Braca.
Yes.
Skip one.
The minutes are then approved and published. As to the July 11th, 2024 minutes that were submitted, are there any corrections, substitutions, additions anyone wants to point out? Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve those July 11th, 2024 minutes?
Berman makes a motion to approve.
Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion having been made and seconded, Madam Secretary, could you please call the roll?
Ferrero, Berman,
Berman, yes.
Conant,
Yes.
Felton,
Yes.
Mosser,
Yes.
Pirog,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Braca.
Yes, and you need Villa.
Sorry, Villa.
Yes, to the last three as well.
Okay. Right. That then we went out of order. That concludes what we need votes on. On the ordinance, dropping down to item 7, the ordinance review and discussion on restating the ordinance. Madam State's Attorney, we really do need to have someone in the civil division assigned to assist in this for review and discussion, and I'm happy to send whoever that may end up being the copy of a track changes on what was previous, because I went off of a copy that was sent to me that had prior track changes, and I'm not quite sure what the correct format is that we need to work from to do the track changes that are reflected for submission to the commission. As well, there are still a couple of subsections that need to be addressed. For example, there's issues relating to Open Meetings Act and justice managers that meet on, I still believe, a monthly basis. Chief Judge, you still have your monthly
We do.
meetings?
We do, sorry.
You know, that core group of people, we don't want that core group of people to trigger Open Meetings Acts, because you obviously may discuss some of the issues this commission discusses. There's an overlap. And so we have to make sure that we have the correct number of people in and on the commission to come into compliance with all applicable statutes. And so we really need to have someone assigned. If you can either make that assignment or put me in touch with your chief of your civil division so we can discuss that, it would be much appreciated.
Absolutely, Judge. I will get you in connected with John Frank, who's the head of the civil division, and if he's not doing it, he will assign it to someone.
Okay. You have, I believe, my email through the commission correspondence, and so I'd appreciate then if I could find out, I can make that connection so I can make sure that the typing is correct. That's what happens when you sweep the streets you used to own. You have to do your own typing. Okay.
Yes, Judge.
And so there's nothing else to vote on that, okay? And then the last real order of business is our proposed meeting dates. In reflection, I actually think that we may need to move this. I have it as a motion and call for a vote in approval as upon reflection on that. These are the second Thursdays of the month, quarterly. This should put us on track for budget votes in a timely manner corresponding. And so unless, I don't believe any of these are a holiday. Except I don't know about that April date. Is that the Thursday before? Is there a spring holiday in the coming year? It's a what?
Seiko.
Okay.
Thursday, Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Lovely cold I have. There is an ISACO conference Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of April 9th, 10th, and 11th. So
Okay.
I would not be able to attend that one.
The spring holiday is the 18th of April.
Okay, so we're the week before the spring holiday. Obviously, you don't have an agenda for your conference, so you don't know if you'd be able to attend remotely either.
No, I do not have an agenda, but I would do my best to, if our meetings are at 4 o'clock, I should be able to attend remotely.
Any other comments or issues about those dates? Hearing none, then is there a motion to approve the proposed meeting dates for this commission for 2025?
I'm sorry.
sorry,
The
Madam Chair.
religious holidays that center around end of March, the beginning of April, are they going to interfere with any of that your proposed April date? Passover, Easter.
Friday's the 18th.
Right, spring, and I'd imagine spring holiday is that next week.
And
so,
any Jewish holidays? I'm just asking.
You know, we could,
Passover starts the 13th.
The 13th. Okay, so you're clear.
well, check that October date. Nothing pops up, at least on the Google Calendar,
Okay,
but you know, not that that's the end all be all.
all right.
You know, I suppose we can ask their AI for an answer. Right, I'd imagine that it would pop up.
Make something up.
Yeah, yeah,
Siri?
yeah, okay. So, assuming that then these don't interfere with any type of religious holiday, which would require rescheduling, either here or for any individual or the public, is there a motion then to accept and publish these proposed meeting dates for 2025?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Chief Judge Villa. Is there a second?
Berman second.
Berman second. Again, because we have online representation as well as in person, I call for the roll for a vote. Madam Secretary.
Ferrero,
Ferrero, yes.
Berman,
Berman, yes.
Conant,
Yes.
Felton,
Yes.
Mosser,
Yes.
Pirog,
Yes.
Villa,
Yes.
Keel,
Yes.
Braca.
Yes. Anything else then that we need to address today? Hearing nothing else, thank you very much for attending both the individuals in person and online. Mr. Berman, you are a champion for making it here.
Safely.
Sorry that I made.
Forum. Thank you. That'll conclude this meeting. Thank you.
I got slowed down.